Pressure comes with the territory when you're playing in the NHL, but which Utah Mammoth players have the spotlight on them the brightest? We're going to tell you our picks on today's Locked On Mammoth.
You are Locked On Mammoth, your daily podcast on the Utah Mammoth, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into this edition of Locked On Mammoth. I'm veteran NHL voice Tom Callahan, joined by longtime team analyst Robyn Leaño. Pressure everywhere. There are songs about it. Queen, Under Pressure, Billy Joel, Pressure. There's so many different songs about being in the spotlight, being under that pressure. And in the NHL, everybody is. But Robyn, today, you and I are going to pick the players where their seat is the warmest for these players to show up and deliver Utah to a playoff berth.
And it's really interesting, Tom, because you can look at it in a million different ways at what level of pressure they are and what kind of pressure, because there really is different kinds on a lot of these kinds of players.
Well, there definitely is a lot of different pressures, and we're going to kind of go through a little bit of the different looks, but ultimately, Robyn and I are going to pick one forward, one defenseman, and I think we're both picking the same goalie here, so I don't even know how deep we're going to get into that. However, we are going to go ahead and talk about the players, and I actually think I might surprise some people, Robyn, with my picks. So we'll see how that goes. Want to say thanks to everybody for making it your first listen each and every single day. When it comes to the Utah Mammoth hockey team, Robyn and I right here with you through the month of August. We are already, weeks from training camp, which is crazy. And the preseason schedule, I can't believe we're already in the run-up here. But Robyn, knowing that, this is when okay, we had a fun summer, right? We talked about the free agency. We talked about the draft, just, seeing the moves that were made. But now we have the team we have. And again, I will say it probably every other show, if not every show, until we actually drop the puck on opening night. It's playoffs or bust for me this year. So I am putting pressure on players. And let's start with the forwards. When you look at this group of forwards, there's a lot of guys, and I think not low-hanging fruit. It's easy to put pressure on JJ Peterka, new player, new contract, highest paid forward. I think that's an easy one to put pressure on that guy. Clayton Keller, Dylan Gunther, there's a lot of pressure here for different reasons. Nick Schmaltz, who's now playing for a contract, as is Alex Kerfoot. But the guy who I think the most pressure is on is Logan Cooley. I think Logan Cooley, he's young, but he's a 1C. And look, I'm not going to mince any words here. If Utah makes the playoffs, it's because Logan Cooley delivers. If he has any kind of slump, and we expect him to get paid, right? He's going to get paid. He's going to get extended. That number will probably make him the highest paid forward when it kicks in next year. I really think the pressure is immense on Logan Cooley.
And I can certainly see it. I can see, and it's interesting when you think about that and you see, all right, so there's so much going around Logan Cooley. You said he's going to be the highest paid forward after when his new contract kicks in, whatever that new contract is. We still know it is going to be pretty darn high, and it's going to have the term to boot. And really, I think it's going to be, honestly, it's going to be really fun to see him play at probably what will be one of his best seasons.
It is a lot to ask a young player to be a first-line center. And honestly, if Utah added an even better 1C, but really a 2C, that would make me feel better in the long and short of it. But Cooley had a very good season last year, got some international experience under his belt. But Robyn, I hate to say it, I think everybody around, and look, I don't think Clayton Keller is going to take a step back. I'm not worried about that. We'll figure out where JJ Peterka belongs. I'm not worried about that. But I think if Cooley as a young player takes a step back and doesn't have as good a season, I don't think this team makes the playoffs. That's why he's my guy who's under the most pressure. I don't think they'll actually make the playoffs if he has a bad season. He has to continue to get better, not just stay where he was. He's got to get better. And to me, That is, the spotlight is 100% on him.
Yeah, and I can certainly see it, Tom. But you know what I'm going to say as a forward for me. And this is a player who I think is getting more of like a very much that they're going to be under the microscope. I think a lot. You and I have had some criticism of how this player has performed last season, significantly underperformed to what we thought. And at this point, is if he's going to play better this season or if he's going to end up becoming trade bait. This is a really good, and I think that's kind of what adds to the pressure. Is if he wants to stay on the team, he's got to play better. I'm talking about Lawson Crouse.
As soon as you started describing said player, I knew that's where you're going to go. I did think about Crouse, but you're right. Who is Lawson Crouse? What is Lawson Crouse? Where do you fit in on this team? On the ice, where is your effort level night in, night out?
He was given, the title of associate captain, right? So essentially the right-hand man to Clayton Keller going into last season. And honestly, if he was playing how he did 2 seasons ago with Arizona, I'd be like, absolutely, 100%. But based off how he played last year, I was saying like, wait, he's supposed to be an associate captain. I don't see it. Where is he?
Well, and I'll say this, captains can leave both on and off the ice. And I'm sure in the room, just knowing Lawson Crouse personally,
yes,
I think the off the ice has a lot to do with it. But to your point, was healthy scratched last year, was frustrated with his own effort and his own ice time and just the way everything was going. They sat him out a game. Did he get better after that? Marginally. But what we need Lawson Crouse to be, and by we, it's the royal we, I'm talking about the Mammoth. What we need Lawson Crouse to be better at is being on the third line, being a physical presence, being someone who can contribute some nice ancillary scoring. Because at $4.3 million, it's not like he's earning two or maybe $3 million. 4.3 is a decent number to hand a guy, especially if you're not getting a lot of production. Intangibles matter. But I need Crouse, you need Crouse to be that solid, impactful third liner. And he wasn't that guy last year.
Yeah. And here's the thing, and this is also hope for me, and I think, but this is also where the pressure comes on because so far, kind of historically speaking, Crouse has had, like, when he has a bad season, he has a really good rebound the following season. And I'm taking a look going back to the 2021 COVID shortened season. He was snake bitten. He took shots and it kept hitting the crossbar or kept hitting whatever, anything else but the actual net. And I could see he was frustrated, right? That same level of frustration I saw in this last season. Question is, can he make the same bounce back like he did in 2022 or 2021, 2022 season with Arizona in this next season with the Utah Mammoth?
And that's an important question to ask, Robyn. I mean, absolutely. We need to know the answer to that question because so much hinges for the Mammoth on everybody showing up and doing their job this year. This is, all up and down the roster. And let us know in the comments your thoughts, but I'm going to go ahead and say that they really can't afford regression from anybody this year just because of the pressure of the Central Division. I just don't see it. I see a tougher division all the way around. I don't think Chicago's a threat to make the playoffs, but Nashville should have been better. Minnesota, I'm still not sure what they're going to be, but St. Louis was a legit threat to make the playoffs, is again this year. Utah, I think, should be in the playoffs. And then, of course, you've got the top 3 in the division, Winnipeg, Colorado, Dallas. It's not getting any easier. This is a really stacked division.
It really is. And honestly, at this point, as you mentioned it, now that it's playoffs or bust, everyone needs to be on their A game. Yeah,
they really do. They need to take the step forward. And again, we're going to talk about coaching at some point here in the month of August because, it's the hottest month, if you catch my drift. We're going to talk about defense next, though, because we need to talk about which Utah players are under the most pressure. So those are our forwards. Who is under the most pressure defensively in just a minute? And today's show brought to you by Game Time. Look, we've all been there. You log on early and you wait forever for concert tickets to go on sale, only to lose your spot for a show you've been dying to see, stupid internet. Live music should be about making memories, not dealing with the stress of ticket shopping, and that's where Game Time comes in. Game Time makes getting concert tickets faster and easier than ever. Prices actually drop as it gets closer to showtime, and you can save up to 60% off with their killer last-minute deals. If you're tired of the endless scrolling, trying to find the best deal, trying to find the seats you want, well, Game Time has a thing called Zone Deals. The Zone Deals pick the best seats in the section for you, and you get your panoramic seat view with it, which I love. There's no surprises. There's a pull there, or you're having to look sideways the whole show. You know what you're going to see. And with Game Time, the price you see is the price you pay. There are no hidden fees. Take the guesswork out of buying concert and show tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use our code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Tom Callahan, Robyn Leaño. This is Locked On Mammoth. Thank you so much for making us your first listen. And hey, if you haven't already, please go ahead and click that subscribe button, ring the bell on YouTube, notifications every time we drop a new episode for you, and tell your friends about the show. You know what? We appreciate the comments, the interactivity. You can also find us over on social at Locked On Mammoth. So, Robyn, coming into today's show, which Utah players are under the most pressure for 2025? We gave our forwards. So we talked about what's going on up front, why there's different pressure. You picked Lawson Crouse. I picked Logan Cooley. Defensively, I think that, number one, can we just go ahead and say the pressure's on everyone to stay healthy?
Yeah.
Can everyone please just stay healthy this year?
After what happened last season, yeah.
Pressure's on the athletic trainers this year for the defense. Holy cow. So that's that right there is just, look, just stay healthy. That's pressure. But okay, so Robyn, we have 7, potentially 8 roster spots really going into camp for defensemen. Typically teams are going to carry 7 because, as we know, and as you dislike, the Mammoth will dress 7D for a game. And so that's probably going to happen more than once this year. But I mean, there's a lot of potential here for players to be under the microscope. So I'm going to let you lead for your defensive choice for under the most pressure.
Well, it's interesting, Tom, because, and I'll start with this. I think it's really easy to go for the quote easy one here, and say Utah Mammoth because of, well, his disappointment last year for one, but also, and 2 is now he has to fight for a spot back into the roster when he gets healthy, right? We're talking months, right? We're talking not until Christmas. So like once he gets healthy, and it's like, okay, how good can you play? Can you make it back onto the roster? Because so far, as we've talked about before, this defense is going to be stacked.
Yes. It absolutely is. And it's funny. I was looking through some of the, the Tucson players and everything. And I kind of smiled when I saw Kevin Connaughton on there. I'm like, boy, that guy's under pressure every single year just to keep playing in the organization. But somehow year after year, he does it. I agree. It is going to be stacked, but that brings its own kind of pressure. Now we talked about staying healthy as being important. Great. But I mean, so your top 6 is expected out of camp to be Sergachev, Durzi, Marino, Mata, Schmidt, and Cole. So Nate Schmidt, new in this process, pencils in right now on the 5-6 pair, probably along with Ian Cole. I like that. That's a nice veteran pair. That's a lot of leadership, which is why you might see those guys move around a little bit when they need to. I like that a lot. I think Schmidt was a great get, a very good ad for this team, and he brings a great attitude. So there's pressure for him. There's also pressure, I think, on Durzi and Marino, for different reasons. But my guy, absolutely this year, without a doubt, is Sergachev. Mikhail Sergachev needs to do 2 things. Number one, needs to continue to put up the offensive numbers. And so that is pressure unto itself. And I think that is Sergachev's game more than anything else. but holy cow, can we please clean up the defensive mistakes, the bad passes, the just, I mean, sometimes blind looks, the bad clears, the bad outlet passes. You're an NHL player now, and you're a number one defenseman. And those mistakes get hidden when you're playing behind Victor Hedman in Tampa Bay. People don't see those as much because they're looking at Hedman. And you know, he's the number one guy there for a reason. He's one of the best defensemen of his generation. But now Sergachev is being tasked with leading this Mammoth hockey team. And if he's going to do that, he's got to be able to clean up that part of his game.
Is it so hard to look for like a forward bank pass rather than open ice stretch passes?
Well, it's not the sexy move, you know, and like I say, the 1 out of 10 times it hits, it's a spectacular play when you sauce it through 3 guys and it connects on the other end for a breakaway. It looks amazing. It makes every highlight reel in the country and probably in the hockey world. But Robyn, that's 1 out of 10, even with the skill of the NHL players. But that's why, because the other guys are just as skilled as you, and they can knock pucks out of the air. They can deflect them away. They can intercept them and break in on your goaltender. So that to me, that's the pressure for Sergachev. The pressure to now, I don't think he played like a number one last year. He was anointed the number one, but I don't think he always played like a number one. And so, look, I have no qualms with his offensive game. And I also know that, like, there's 2 sides to every coin, right? If the guy is pushing in on the play, if he's pinching down low, the forwards have to be defensively aware. They're going to have to cover for him. I get all that, and I understand that. But that does not mean he cannot learn more defensive responsibility. He has to.
I mean, he's also got a great blue line shot, right? Like from the point, making really hard shots. Like I would hate to be whoever is trying to block one of those. But you're right. It's offensively, he's good. He's fine, but he has to be able to clean things up on the other side.
I mean, you're getting pucks through. Great. That is what you're supposed to do. You know, power play, you're running the power play. That's fine. But again, I mean, Utah, to me, I just don't think much of the problem is in the offensive zone. Now, look, the power play wasn't as clutch as it needed to be last year, but to me, the power play and the offensive zone is not where my concern lies. It's the neutral zone play, which I think a lot of teams, a lot of media members gloss over because it's much easier to look at offensive and defensive zone stuff. I think they need to be better in the neutral zone. I think they need to be way better in the defensive zone. And Sergachev has to be the guy to lead this charge. Now, Nate Schmidt, I'm really interested to see the Nate Schmidt impact on Sergachev. We've talked about the Nate Schmidt impact on some of the younger players and the prospects and blah, blah, blah. I want to see what kind of impact he has on Sergachev. Because Sergachev has been around a cup-winning organization and has that kind of flowing through his veins from Tampa Bay and that pedigree, but Florida's done it in a different way than Tampa. And I'm interested to see what kind of effect he can have on the responsibility end of Sergachev's game.
Honestly, I'd like to see that too. I mean, we have, plus, I mean, as we've already talked about, as someone with just the overall experience of where he's been, you know, and how long he's been around, and a guy like Nate Schmidt, I mean, I should only hope it helps boost Sergachev.
If you want to, I mean, to me, this is just how I would do it. There are a million ways to win a Stanley Cup, okay? But to me, puck possession is the way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And that means not only holding on to the puck, but making smart decisions with it, not turning it over, and doing the right thing as much 99% of the time. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody does. But now, if you're going to play a game where you're holding on to the puck, because if you have it, the other team can't score. Robyn, I think it starts with him. So, did you give us a name? I know I asked you to give us a name. I don't know if I ever do.
I mean, I'm going to stick with who I said was the easy one.
Okay, you're going with Vejmelka. Okay, yeah. That is a tough one for him. I mean, yeah, a lot of pressure. Flamed out hard last year, then got hurt. Only has half a year coming up, contract year. That's the kind of scenario that sets you up to be a zero or a hero.
Yep. And at this point is, you know, and at the point is like, what does Utah do, right? Is like, if he comes back and he's not great, do you just keep him in Tucson with all that dead, but with that dead cap for the rest of the year? Because he was technically on a one-way deal, or do you find out a way to trade him away, put him somewhere, at least try to get something out of it?
Yeah. Oh, I absolutely would. I don't like letting players walk away for nothing if you know they're not coming back or if you don't have room for them. But that's something else we can talk about. And, again, that's only a half season to figure that out with him. And so if he comes back end of December, so really you have January, February, and then trade deadline to figure that out. So, all right. Well, I know we're going to talk about the goaltending. There's only one guy with a new contract who's been anointed the starter. So I'm sure we can briefly touch on the pressure there, but also want to talk about Robyn and I are big on growing the game. Robyn loves the growing the game series that we get to do here with the Locked On Mammoth. Well, the Mammoth are doing the same, and they just had a great program. We're going to tell you about what that was. And also, happy birthday, Archie. Locked On Mammoth, Robyn Leaño, Tom Callahan. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We very much appreciate you being here. And again, like, follow, and subscribe. As we take a look at what's going on right now with the Mammoth heading into August here, we talked about which players are under the most pressure for 2025. Robyn, I mean, in goal, obviously, one guy got a new contract, was anointed the starter, is getting paid starting goaltender money, not huge starting goalie money, like not Bob money, but I mean, Veg has to have a good year now to justify that contract. That is pressure. You just got paid. Let's see it.
I mean, you said, as you said, right? It's not Bob money, but let's go back to that real quick. Remember the first couple of years of that Bob contract, right? Everyone was criticizing that contract because he was playing honestly really bad.
It looked awful.
It looked the contract looked absolutely terrible, and everybody was talking about it. You don't want to be the next goalie to have that conversation. And again, you're right, it's not as big, so it won't be as notorious, but there still will be the talk.
Just to refresh everybody, it's 4.75 through 2030.
Yeah. Unlike what was it? That was Bob, like $10 million.
Yeah. And that was back when the cap was yet a baby in the woods. I mean, that was chewing up.
It was still like what, like 86 or something like that?
Yeah. Yeah, you're chewing up like 10% of your team's cap on that. Like actually more like 12. That's crazy. And on a goalie, Robyn, that's the interesting thing about goaltender salaries. They've gone up and down over the years. Like there's trends in the NHL, and every 5 to 10 years, it's a cycle. Goalies get really, really paid, and then goalies get not at all paid. There's never a middle. Like there's never we're spending average money on a goaltender. It's either star goalies are getting overpaid or star goalies are, for some reason, considered a dime a dozen. But ask Edmonton how they'd feel about that statement right now. So I think you need, it depends how good your team in front of them is, but you can win a cup with an average goaltender. We've seen it happen in the last 20 years. It's happened several times. But if your team is not supremely talented and incredibly sure of itself on all fronts and just stacked top to bottom, which so few are, you need a superstar goaltender. And even Florida, which is a really deep team, needed playoff Bob to show up and win them a game here, which would eventually win them a series there. That's the kind of pressure Veg is going to be under for a team that needs to make the playoffs. He's going to have to give you that 1 or 2 saves a night now that he wasn't giving you before that turn a 3-2 loss into a 2-1 win.
Yeah. Plus, and again, too, Tom, like, I think everyone, like, it's interesting because a lot of people talk about a goaltender carrying the team to the cup over, I don't know, however many years. And again, even if it is an average goalie, like, they still are that one player that will still kind of end up being all the talk, right? Bob being this year, and even looking on like some years past, and Connor Hellebuyck hasn't won with Winnipeg, but he's still, a major talking point about someone who goes out and tries to win. Marc-Andre Fleury, in the much of that 2010s decade, right? He was all the talk, whether it was carrying Pittsburgh or helping Vegas get to the Stanley Cup final of their first year. I could go. We could keep going, right? like, everyone talks about that goalie.
And you hope you have that goalie, because when you do have that goalie, they win you cups. And we've seen that. But we've also seen, teams that look otherwise put together and don't have a goaltender. And again, I mean, Edmonton's an easy example, but it's happened to Toronto as well. In years where you look at Toronto and think, man, they should just power through everything. And then whether it's injuries or problems, Vancouver's run into that with the health issues with Thatcher Demko. There's all kinds of reasons. But the flip side is, look at Dustin Wolf in Calgary. Calgary wasn't supposed to be anywhere near the playoffs. And Dustin Wolf single-handedly raised them to playoff contention. I'm still not sure how Dustin Wolf is not a Calder Trophy winner.
I'll even go for another one in the late part of the last decade. Jordan Binnington. Remember that year, the Blues weren't even in the playoffs for half the year.
The Blues were dead last the first week of January. Last 32 out of 32 in the NHL. And then they called up Binnington. They called him up from the minors.
And all of a sudden, it was lights out. Played some of his best hockey ever and carries the St. Louis Blues to a Stanley Cup.
So the pressure's there. The spotlight is firmly on the goal crease for the Utah Mammoth.
And again, Tom, I feel like it's important to say, like, we're talking about Stanley Cup winning goalies. We're not expecting this team to win a Stanley Cup, but it's still a starting part of the conversation that you still want a goalie to be on top of their game, to be part of that competition, to be able to be incredibly competitive.
Well, you don't sign a guy for 5-6 years if you don't think he can take you to a cup.
Yes, of course.
At least that's how I would see it. But so I don't know. It needs to start this year. So that's the pressure there. Robyn, I wanted to talk about. We're big fans of growing the game.
Of course we are.
And you have some cool things coming up for us as well, which we can talk about. But Utah, the Mammoth organization, as part of Hockey Week in Utah here, actually had a really nice event the other day where they were able to get out in the community and support girls hockey.
I absolutely love this. I saw when it said, "Hey, it's Girls Hockey Day," and I took a look at it, and see Alex Kerfoot was the guy, was the guy running it. And I'm saying to myself, Tom, and I'm like, you know what? This is why this is why A, what we do, but also B, this is why I love to see these stories of where programs or people are out there trying to focus on making hockey accessible to more people. And again, that's why I do my show. That's why I do my Grow the Game series, because seeing that, it means so much to me, because grassroots hockey is everything. Girls hockey and the growth of that of girls hockey across North America has been absolutely amazing.
And Robyn, you want to talk about role models? How about bringing a couple of PWHL players out there? I mean, Hillary Knight alone is got to be a huge draw. Melissa Channel-Watkins as well. So, but I mean, that's fantastic to have them there, to have someone to look up to for these young players.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. And it's the ability for them for younger girls to be able to look up and say, "Hey, I want to be like you, and I want to play, and I want to be a good hockey player." And having someone who can kind of be that guidance and kind of be that, even just the role and saying, "Hey, I'm a PWHL player. Look at me, and look at how popular we are." Look. Not even just a PWHL player. And when you mention, especially when you mention Hillary Knight, what about Olympic gold medalist, right? It means so much. It means so much to see, to show someone, it's like, hey, you can do this too.
Yes, absolutely. And representation matters. It absolutely matters.
It really does.
Also want to say happy birthday, Archie. I can't believe Archie's going to be a year old. Oh, so Archie is having a birthday party August 9th. So we're telling you about it early. So you got a week to plan this by the time you catch the show dropping on Friday. It's going to be August 9th. It's 10 to 1 p.m. It's at Smith's Ballpark. There's going to be what they're calling yard games. I don't know what that is, but street hockey, food trucks, face painting, balloon artists, all kinds of fun stuff going on. Plus, there will be some kitties and puppies up for adoption. through Salt Lake County Animal Services. So that should be fun as well.
Looking forward to it. Should be a fun time.
Robyn, I can't believe how big Archie's gotten, first of all.
I know, right?
It's like, Archie was just this cute little puppy yesterday, and how time's flown. It's already been a year, but it's always great to be able to support the community endeavors. And I do want to say, I think the Mammoth have done a very good job of that. And I'm one of their things is community obsessed. That's one of their buzzwords, their mantras. And I think they're doing a great job of that.
Yeah, going out there and finding so many different ways to reach out to the community. And I've seen, because I see all the fans out there, right? I've seen all of them just really appreciate it, for one, but also two, be a huge part of it. Whether they're being in conversation where the Mammoth will reach out to these guys as influencers to say, hey, what can we do next? Or two, just be there and be a huge part of it.
Any truth to the rumor Shabuzi's going to play the Archie birthday party or no?
I don't know yet. We'll find out. Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, we're starting that rumor here. So if you want to, we got a week to make it happen. Try to push that one around. So, all right. Spotlight is on. The pressure is on for the Mammoth. The pressure is on for us because August is our run up to training camp month, getting ready to go. And then September, we hit the ground running once again. Robyn, anything you want to tack on to the end of this one?
No, just, really, once again, just what I want to say, just really appreciate all you guys for listening. We will have more Grow the Game episodes coming, by the way. I've been reaching out to a couple of other people out there. No confirmations yet, so I don't want to say anything. But once again, if you are somebody who is part of an organization who is doing grassroots level hockey or doing any kind of thing to help grow the fan base, grow the and just grow the sport in Utah and the state, all throughout the state of Utah, no matter where it is, from every single corner of the state, reach out to us when we will, and we'll get something going. I really love hearing from every one of you guys. Absolutely. Robyn, where can they reach out to us? You can find us on social media at Locked On Mammoth. That's at Locked On Mammoth. And that's pretty much just on all social media platforms. You can find me personally. I'm primarily active over on X at Robyn_Leaño. My DMs are closed. I mean, if you follow me or even just mention me, say, hey, you want to send me a DM, I'll follow you back so you can send me a message. But you can go and follow me over there as well. And if you want to talk to me, although I'm sure you want to talk to Robyn, but I'm on Blue Sky at Tom Talks, and I'm on Twitter at Callahan on Air. So thank you once again, everybody. We love you, the everydayers. Thanks for always being here. The new folks, we appreciate you too. Thank you so much for being a part of Locked On Mammoth.